Hey guys, so as I mentioned on Instagram and Twitter, I'm doing another live video recapping some of the backyard transformation that I've been working on this past week. I wanted to show you a lot of different places that I have really never stood in my backyard before until now. And that's all due to this recent partnership that I've been doing with Compact Power Equipment Rental. They were generous enough to rent me a backhoe pretty much for a week. Hi, Mom! I see that my mom just joined this feed. But, okay, so I just want to show you guys some of the stuff that's been happening back here. And I'm walking currently to a spot in my yard that I've never really had access to. Right back here is the very back corner of my lot, and right next to me is my neighbor's shed. And back here used to be overgrown with stuff like this, and it used to be pretty crazy back here because there was like a sinkhole and there's a bunch of different stuff. But I'm going to turn this camera around so that you guys can see more. So you guys can see more of what's been going on, because my dad's been helping. My friends came over the weekend to try out the tool, and we've just been really having a good time. And it's taken a lot of work, to be honest. I've gone through at least a pot of coffee this morning, because it's now day 5 of this renovation project, and I am just plain exhausted. It's very tiring to get out here and then be in the hot sun. It's, you know, the middle of summer in Georgia, and it's just really hard. But anyway, I'm going to turn this camera around. If you guys have any questions, you know, feel free to put it in the comments. Be sure to like this video so that other people can see it and stuff like that. But I will have a lot of this recapped on the blog too, with greater detail about the things I've learned and the things that you need to know before you do a project like this. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted because I thought there was a bug and I was going to freak out. But let me turn the camera around so you guys can see some of this transformation stuff happening. Okay, so this is a suddenly very much more even kind of area in my backyard. I know it looks like a giant pile of dirt, and that's really all it is. But you guys, it took so much effort and energy to get it looking this way that it's incredible to me that I'm even standing in these spots, because it took so much work to even get it this way. So here's where all my azaleas and plants and stuff like that, and you can see the fence that I built a couple years ago. All of this back here had plants and overgrowth, and all of this here used to be covered in tons of plants and prickly things that I never wanted to touch, and probably snakes and all sorts of other things. But so back down here, and this spot right here is where a giant sinkhole was formed. Now, those of you who don't know about sinkholes when it comes to backyards, let me turn this. You're not staring at a pile of dirt. But those of you that don't know, a lot of times what happened in older neighborhoods is that when they were building the homes, they just kind of dug a giant hole and put all of their excess debris in it, and that included like tree stumps, and that included random foliage and things like that, which over time decays. And once that happens, there's just a giant hole that gets left behind, and that, you know, collects rainwater, and then that creates even more of a hole because there's a lot of erosion that happens. So when all of this gets covered over and stuff and filled in, it winds up being, you know, a nice and even yard. But it takes a lot of work to get that done. Now, the previous owner of my house said that she had filled it in once before, but clearly it didn't stay. And so I wanted to make sure that when I took fill dirt and brought it into the yard this time around, that it was going to have some sticking power, that it was going to, you know, be more permanent. So I've been very careful to make sure that any of the branches and stuff, you can see there's kind of a pile behind me here, that any of the excess branches, any of the roots that I dug out, all of those things got pulled up and out of the ground, and rather than being buried once more, I put them over there. So this is basically just dirt that's filling in this area. It still has a little bit of slope, so you're going to see me kind of like walking down this way, and there's still going to be a little bit of a, you know, kind of slope precisely for drainage. I mean, we're going to be filling in a lot of this area with various different things. I'm thinking maybe a platform deck, or like a gravel area, like a large area for entertaining, which would be so amazing because I don't really have friends come over enough, and I'd like that to change. So there's still going to be a slope, and I'm going to kind of show you right now when I turn it around. So the yard starts kind of higher toward the house, and it slopes down away from the house, and then it also slopes down away from my neighbor's yard because he's at the top of a hill and I'm closer to the bottom, but it kind of slopes down as well, which kind of keeps with the original drainage that was happening back here before. But because everything is filled in, the water flow is going to go pretty much the same as it did before, all along the back here, and then kind of like go back toward that direction, which is pretty much how it always happens. So I didn't really want to compromise the actual water flow before and get it to a point where, you know, I was suddenly going to be dealing with like a, you know, puddle suddenly forming in my yard. That wouldn't be good. But the fix is essentially to get it still sloping, you know, to still have some, you know, I think it's called, I mean, most of the time it's called grading. But just to have still a little bit of a slope. And then in order to prevent all of this work from washing away, I now have to start trying to plant all of this, or at least some planting, probably along the fence line, you know, at the very least. I dug up all the azaleas and stuff like that yesterday using the backhoe, and, you know, it came apart in pieces, but I'm going to try and replant those today, to at least try and establish some roots so that the soil just doesn't wash away. It's really important that when you do something like this that you try and overseed it and try and prevent the dirt itself from just sitting here, because, you know, when rains come in and stuff like that during the fall, I definitely don't want it to undo. I don't want Mother Nature to undo all of this work that I've just done. So again, if there are any questions, feel free to put it in the comments. But even though it looks like just a pile of dirt, to me it is incredible because this took so much effort. It took so much effort of my dad's, so much effort of mine. I've been exhausted. I mean, I can't even, I mean, I'm actually losing words with thinking about how tired I've been. But it's been so amazing to be able to work with a company that really, you know, had all of this in mind with trying to figure out how we're going to get it all done. But yeah, it's been incredible. It's been quite a little bit of a journey here, and there's still a little bit more to do. I mean, there's still going to be some more things going on. But it's going to be so exciting. That's my mom. My mom says this is amazing. She knows what the backyard used to look like. So she's like, yay, this is so fun. And there's the backhoe that I was rented. My friends had a really good time driving on it before, and I've been calling it a giant Tonka toy because it's pretty much, you know, the largest piece of equipment that I've ever rented. And it was actually, it's been so much fun to drive around on it. But the weird thing is that getting in that and driving around in it all day, and then getting in your car and driving that around, you suddenly adapt to how the vehicle is supposed to run. And I've been, you know, accidentally mashing on my own gas pedal and stuff like that a little bit harder than I should. It's also kind of a workout because I'm relatively small and I've got short legs and I don't weigh a lot, and this machine has kind of like some safety features built in. So if that seat isn't fully locked in place, like say when you're driving around and you don't weigh a whole lot and it's kind of jostling you around, and the seat comes loose, well, there's a safety feature on it that will cut off the engine if the seat comes loose. So as you can imagine, it's been quite funny for me to drive around on this thing during the day, for me to get kind of on a bumpy surface trying to even things out, for the seat to come loose and then the engine to still cut off over and over again, which is, I don't know. It hasn't been happening to other people the way it has with me, but I guess maybe I'm just too light for it at the moment, but maybe I need a burger or two. But so I've been just having a lot of fun with it, and it turns out that I'm actually pretty good at ripping out the roots once I get a chance to try it. I've also learned that I have a talent for scooping up an entire pile of dirt, which is, according to some, not that easy to do. My own dad was having a problem with that yesterday, but so I was, you know, doing the part where I was grabbing all the dirt and bringing it over, and then he was doing the part where he's a lot better at, you know, leveling things out for me. Looks awesome. Surprised more people did post funny dirt innuendos. Oh, didn't. Yes, I know. What's up with that? Yeah, so the other day, what Kayla's talking about is it Kala or Kayla? I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. But what she's talking about is that the other day I was posting like how excited I was just that there was a pile of dirt in my yard. And I was making some jokes like saying, okay, we're probably going to use phrases like dirty hoe and things like that when my friends come over, and we're going to be making lots of jokes. But you guys can certainly come up with more of them. And I agree. We only had like a few people coming up with some, you know, random jokes. One of my friends used the phrase backhoeing, so she kept asking me if I was backhoeing today or backhoeing tomorrow, things like that. And there were just a handful. Kayla. Okay, good. All right. See, sometimes I read names and I'm like, well, I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly, because the other day there was someone who was following, and her name, when I went back to read the comments, said her name was Rosemary. And I think in the video I kept calling her Rosemary, and I felt terrible for that, because I was like, well, I hate it when people mispronounce my name, which it still happens all the time. But yeah, so I think it's kind of funny too that I was just reminded that Charlie's been having an interesting time adapting to the new yard, because she knows this yard very well. She, this is kind of her space, or it has been for a really long time. And it's not anymore. It's not going to be anymore. It's going to be my space to have, like, my neighbor has got this gorgeous, deck over his yard, and I've been quite jealous of the fact that he's got that. I've got a few new chairs that I want to put out here, and I've still got to stain them so that they are more weatherproof. But Charlie's just been kind of sniffing. She's really terrified of the machine. She has been since its arrival, and she's just been sniffing around, seeing if any part of the yard is familiar to her. Which, like the old fire pit got filled in, and all of the plants got ripped out. All the plants that she used to use kind of like as her own little private bathroom, because it used to give her privacy, and now those are no longer there. So she's still kind of trying to find her own. But let me just go ahead and show you guys. See, it's not going to ever be perfectly even. I don't think that I have the talent for that to get it perfect, but it is sloping exactly the way that I wanted it to, and it's all filled in. This is more of an uneven area, because yesterday I was just so tired and about to run off to meet with some of my friends for a running group that I just kind of took the rest of the dirt that was in the front yard and put it back here so that I could try and even things out today, which is pretty much what I'm going to be up to for the next a couple hours. But the machine's going to get picked up, and I'm not going to have it anymore, so I got to make sure that I try and get as much done as I can within the next few hours while I still have it. But in case you were ever wondering for yourself, one of the reasons that I partnered with them is because I didn't even know that you could rent, equipment of this size. I didn't know that you could rent a Bobcat, for example, for your own backyard, and do your own renovations. Now, sometimes, of course, you're going to probably need permits or, other things like that to make sure that you're doing things the right way. But since this is a backyard and there's not a bunch of utilities back here, I'm going to go over calling utility companies and making sure that everything is, kosher. On the blog itself, all you really do is just contact 811 and a few days before your project, and they'll come out and they'll mark everything off like they're supposed to. But, yeah, so any questions so far? Because this is probably going to be the longest video that I do. After this, I'm going to take some more video just so that I can kind of combine these videos that I've done live with the Facebook recaps, or for a YouTube recap. So there's also some YouTube footage of the transformation. I had my friends, when they were over, try and take some video of me in action so that you can see me actually on the machine ripping out roots and things like that. So hopefully there's going to be some of that that's going to make it into the final video. But yeah, are there any questions? I'm going to wait a few minutes to see if any pop up. But so the general plan of what's probably going to happen next once all of this gets filled in is I'm going to try and overseed it, at least to try and establish some grass growing back here, so that erosion does not take place and undo all the work that I've already done. I might need to rent a stump grinder, because I took out a few trees in this area last year. You guys might remember that post on uglyducklinghouse.com. And once once I've been digging some of this up, let me show you here. What we see here is that this is still part of the stump that did not get ground down. Wouldn't have been noticeable if I hadn't been trying to dig around it. There's another stump here, there's another piece of one here, and then there's this one, this giant piece right there. This whole area is just one part of a stump that's left. And what's happening there is that when you're driving around on this backhoe, you want things like that to not be running into anything. And there's another like part of a stump right here that didn't get ground down either. But now when things like that get ground down, they're not that big of a deal because they're not that noticeable. But in a situation where you're digging everything out, they suddenly become a huge problem because you didn't know that they were there before. And you had the stumps ground down and they still wind up popping up. So I've had to essentially take the trench, or the trench digging part of the backhoe and dig around each of these stumps to try and get them loose. I'm still going to try again once more today, but if I still can't get to it, then I might try and do like a stump grinder for these two things to try and fix that. I have gotten most of the roots out, which I've been very encouraged by when it comes to getting all the stuff done. But, you know, sometimes just things pop up. Sometimes things cause delays, and you want everything to go exactly right, and a lot of times I don't make a lot of contingencies to make sure that things do go exactly right. But right now I'm essentially pulling at a root. So you can see that sometimes they get nice and loose and will pull out of the ground just fine. Sometimes that's not the case and you have to dig at them quite a bit. But yeah, things have been going surprisingly well. I mean, yay! It's just a yard of dirt. But I'm still really excited about it. And you guys can tell how tired I am, but this requires quite a bit of an effort. Okay, so I don't see any questions so far about this project, so I'm gonna just go ahead and assume that the rest of them will be answered during the blog post that I put up on the blog. But if you have any more after the video ends, you can easily ask them, and I'm still going to be monitoring the questions and any of the stuff that comes through. So be sure to like this Facebook Live thing if you liked it, to encourage me to do them more, because if they don't have interaction, I'm probably not going to do a whole bunch of them. But I do want to talk to you guys and answer questions live if they become like a fun thing to do. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I will be posting this week. I'm also going to be posting about the kitchen bar. Probably Thursday, I guess, is when I'm going to be posting about the kitchen bar. I still got to do the routing and do the final installation, but it's looking really nice, and I'm so glad to have that in the kitchen finally. I've got to work on some art for it. I've got to do a little bit more. If you haven't seen a sneak peek of the kitchen bar and you'd like to, it's on my Periscope at Ugly Duckling DIY. I just walked into my kitchen not too long ago and just shared some glimpses of what that looks like with my coffee finally sitting on top of it. I've been looking forward to having that bar for a while. It's going to be a nice little spot for entertaining friends. But anyway, so I'm going to get back to work, and I'll be showing lots and lots of other transformative pictures online soon. So thanks guys, thanks for watching.